before we write a single line of code for a new website, we need to be clear on where we're trying to take this in the long term. We need to have a really clear sitemap that might not necessarily all be created and published before the website goes live in the short term, but certainly provides a clear sense of direction for how this website will evolve in the long term as well. Now, there are two distinct elements to this. The first is from a user experience point of view. So in other words, what do we want people to do when they land on the website, and how are we going to get them to do it? And then secondly, we have to consider it from a search engine perspective. Now, to some extent, these two things overlap, and I would say that with every year that's gone by, the degree to which they overlap has become greater and greater, which is fantastic. We used to have all sorts of battles between designers and UX specialists on the one hand and SEO experts on the other hand. Now, thankfully, those times are changing, and there is an ever-increasing overlap. So I'll just give a quick, very kind of simple example. Let's imagine that we run a gym chain. Now, the homepage is naturally going to target certain keywords, and then we'll presumably, if we have a number of different locations, then we're going to have location pages, each targeting different local terms. So it might be, for example, that one of those locations is Chiswick. So we're going to have a page all about the gym in Chiswick, and that will naturally target terms like gym in Chiswick, and it might target some more specific terms like maybe ladies gym in Chiswick, or perhaps budget gym in Chiswick. However, there are almost certainly going to be terms that it doesn't necessarily target, or at least not in any great detail. So maybe someone in Chiswick is searching for yoga classes, and perhaps this gym does actually offer yoga classes, but it might be like 1% of what that gym does, and therefore cluttering up the primary user experience with lots of information about the yoga classes when it happens, once a week on a Tuesday afternoon is not necessarily sensible from a user experience perspective. On the other hand, there's no harm in getting that traffic, and maybe we offer really great yoga classes, and it's something we want to be doing more of in the future. So we still, if we can, want to be getting the attention of people making that search query, but we have to recognize we don't necessarily want to interfere with the primary user experience. So in that case, we might create a separate landing page targeting yoga classes in Chiswick, with really rich content about the instructor and about the different types of yoga that's taught. I don't know a lot about yoga, and another rich information that's really going to add to that user experience. But really, this is a separate page. This is not something that forms part of that primary UX. Now, as you can imagine, doing this for some businesses can result in huge, vast sitemaps. I mean, some businesses that might have hundreds, maybe even thousands of different products and services, or maybe different locations, and then all the different combinations and variables of those different things. You can end up with sitemaps that are literally thousands or tens of thousands of pages large. So it's not necessarily practical to think that they're all going to be created prior to the website going live, but it is important to have a sense of where we're trying to take this in the long term. You also might want to consider pages that cater to terms slightly higher up the funnel. So maybe rather than focusing on those people who are red hot ready to buy, it might be that maybe we want to target people who are slightly earlier on in the research process. So maybe as opposed to someone searching for yoga Chiswick or gym in Chiswick, they might be searching for terms around nutrition or exercise generally. Now, that's still really important because we want to be capturing that data and nurturing those relationships. But they're going to require different landing pages in order to capture that traffic from the search engines. Now, with pages like this, very often we might decide that actually they belong more appropriately within a blog section or a resource section. And we don't necessarily need to create them before the website goes live, but rather they're going to form part of a broader content strategy. But again, it's just so important that we have a really clear sense with all of this of where we're trying to take the website in the long term, so we don't create any obstacles for ourselves in the short term.